For years and years, Ukrainian recipes have been hidden, sometimes literally under floorboards, in just some of the ways that the Soviet Union tried to eradicate culture in this country. And now, some are calling this period in Ukraine cuisine the Renaissance period, because so many of those recipes are coming to light. And one very famous chef in this country, Yevhen Klopotenko, has gone to thousands of Ukrainian families in the last few years and found those recipes that have only been cooked behind closed doors, and brought them to his many restaurants here in this city. He also managed to get borscht listed as UNESCO status. So my best friend Audrey and I decided to sit down and have lunch with Yevhen. What I find crazy is that Ukrainian food has existed still so long despite constant colonization and still has such a strong identity. The USSR would actually decide where people would work, intentionally to split them up all across Ukraine to try and constantly fracture communities. Yes. I can't believe that cuisine survived and Ukraine still has its own just after that long, after that much suppression.
My job is to go to the houses, to open the doors and to say, no worries, you can share this recipe. People sharing with me hundreds and thousands of the recipes all around because they trust me.
It's almost like hiding recipes under the floorboards for years.
That's not almost, it's like it is, but in our heads.
What is this now coming?
I cook some traditional food.
So what are we looking at here?
I will tell.
And I guess a big part of Ukrainian cuisine is to have, culture is to have lots of food.
Lots of food because we have the tradition of the generous table. Or it means that we don't know what is going to be in the future, but we have to share the last what we have. For us, food, it's the matters of survival, the matter of speaking about how generous we are. Like in Italy was the Renaissance. Everything happening here. So you can imagine that 200 years ago, it was happening all around the world. What is happening now, here in Ukraine? And
a cultural renaissance.
And that's we are sitting here. But totally the same things were happening 200 years ago in all the countries. And now we've been frozen for a lot of time. But now, if you are here, you have opportunity to be part of it.
What is this?
This is world's heritage. This is borscht. Everyone has to try this dish in life. You have to
sour cream?
Yeah.
So this always goes, all of this goes in?
Not always. Like there is nothing, you cannot use the word always when you speak about borscht, because it has a different ways of eating for every family. So all the time. And Ukrainians quarreling only about the...
This is amazing. Oh my gosh. What is the core ingredients?
Beef or something? Is it?
So it's beetroot dish, but we never call it soup, because in Ukraine you have to say it borscht. If you say it soup to Ukrainians, they will kill you. And it's cooked in a wooden oven. You put just a lot of beetroot, a bit of onions, a bit of cabbage, and a bit of meat. It's more than food because it's way of life. First borscht, I think that it was just the boiled water with something. And in the future, when it's going to be here a lot of sun because of the global heat warming, I think we will have avocados here, and we will have no beetroot. We will boil the water with the avocado, and we will call it borscht. And that's the main idea. So for us, borscht is not a dish; it's a way of surviving. So, okay, let's go next for the halushki.
Halushki.
Yeah, you can just you can share. You have been to the Poltava.
I was in Poltava a few times.
And I don't know why, but in Poltava you can find the Ukrainian DNA it was like how it is. So if you want to feel the Ukraine, you have to go to Poltava and to speak with the people and to eat their food. Because in Poltava region, people saved their tradition. So normally it's a dough boiled in the water and mixed with the sour cream and the mushrooms. And the main idea is that
it's not like a gnocchi.
but gnocchi is potatoes.
Yeah, it's got a more spongy texture than
It's like it's completely unique from what.
It's different. If you know the Carol of the Bells, you know it's called Shedrik. It's our song. Shedri, it means generous. And this song is like generous. And this song you have to sing during the generous table.
It's so beautiful. Audrey and I spent Christmas Day in Bucha. And I remember it was just like this, and there were carol singers coming to the door, which I hadn't even seen. We don't see this anymore much in Britain, and it reminds me of growing up in Ireland. Christmas is there, but that song came on so many times that night, and I didn't realize until that night that it was Ukrainian. And it was so magical. There's something so magical about Christmas in Ukraine.
And you cooked up a storm.
I did.
Storm?
A storm, cooking up storm. That's something you might say in Nashville or in the South. It means like you cook up a feast.
Okay.
Like-
okay. Yeah, that's exactly how it has to be. So you're part of Ukrainian culture too. Okay, go next. That's called cabbage rolls, or we call it golubci.
Should we try this?
Oh, I see. Yeah, let's try it at the same time. Ready?
This is amazing. Ukrainians have this ability to do the most wonderful things with the ingredients that we'd think are so simple back home.
Yeah.
Like back in the UK, cabbage is passed off as just like, well, it's just cabbage. It's like this is something you just put in your cupboard. You wouldn't think about it. To turn ordinary ingredients into something like that's actually extraordinary is
But because we didn't have a lot of ingredients, that's why we have to create from the not much amount of ingredients. We are moving next. This one is vareniki. I think that you tried it already.
Vareniki.
Vareniki or dumplings, or maybe in Poland they call pierogi. But normal people eating this with the potatoes or with the mushrooms. But we are using the cottage cheese, and it's like the most traditional thing which been left for us, like dough and cottage cheese.
I'm going in.
let's go in.
And it's like sweet.
Breakfast, but it's sweet. It's like dessert or not. I don't know. We don't have the salads actually in Ukraine. If you speak about Ukrainian gastronomy, we don't have the salads. Okay, we're moving next. This one is called syrniki, or it's also cottage cheese, but it's like cutlets from the cottage cheese. So normally we are taking the cottage cheese and we are baking. Frying, and that's all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen this on so many menus.
Yeah, that's our the most also significant.
Is this pepper on it as well?
Pepperoni?
No, pepperoni.
Yeah, you from
Pepper.
Nashville. You from Nashville? I don't know.
Yeah.
What is it? Pepperoni in Nashville? Poppy seeds.
Poppy seeds. Okay, wow. It looks like it
Almost
was
like pepperoni. Ukrainian pepperoni.
Ukrainian pepperoni, poppy seeds.
This looks so good.
This dish, I think that very unique because nobody is frying the cottage cheese.
I mean, I feel like there's such a crossover between rural Ireland where I grew up, and Ukrainian food. My grandmother always used to cook me dishes, and this is the closest thing to that I've ever had, like homely, hearty food. And I think the most similar part is that she always made Irish stews, really deep dishes, but it was always with love.
Okay, so this one, it's Crimea Tatar, native nation which lived in Crimea, and Russia all the time they deported them and they repressed them. So it was the minced meat, the fresh meat, and put in here, and then when you eat, it has a lot of juice.
And we eat it just with our hands, just like this.
Oh, and you dip in here.
Okay.
So you break.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is so good.
I do love this. As an American, fried food,
Yeah.
win.
Okay, and last one, showing you it's like a really traditional. It's not modern. It's not something I overmade and remade. It's called rolled millet.
I never heard of the translation of this.
Millet is called. It's very important grain for us. Like 500 years ago, before the potatoes came here, so we have the Cossacks. Cossacks is our warriors who were fighting. It was like for the 300s, it was like one of the best warriors in Europe. They were eating their main ingredient, their main dish, which they were eating, is called kulish. You know, powerful because it has a lot. It gives a lot of energy and it has a lot of carbs and all the stuff.
But Ukraine exports its grain all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives it to Syria, this grain from Ukraine
Yeah.
program.
We were in Syria about a month ago.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and we were asking people what they thought about that. But one of the most incredible things was just even despite everything that Ukraine is going through, they still sent thousands of tons of aid and food to Syria. And it kind of fits in with everything that we're talking about here as well, because even though Ukrainians suffered and didn't have almost anything for hundreds of years,
We will share it.
they still, even if there's a tiny piece of food left at the table,
Yeah.
make something nice with it and share it with somebody else.
We know that we have to be united, and we know we have to share the love.
And I feel like we would be remiss to have all this abundance in front of us and not at least touch a little bit on one of the worst things that has happened in Ukraine's history, which is, of course, the Holodomor, and this time when there was no food. I mean, do you think that Ukrainian recipes have morphed out of that?
Holodomor, it means when food exists, but you are not allowed to take the food. So, like it was the food was everywhere, but you cannot buy and you cannot have it, and that's why you were not just you were dying because of starving, because of you cannot take some food because all the fields were burnt. But so only one part was of Ukraine.
I think maybe that's where the crossovers comes. Irish culture for 1,000 years was colonized by the British, and through famines, through the potato famine, I think that's why they developed their own culture in such a unique way, faced with that oppression. And I think it's why the food reminds me of home so much, because that's what Ireland was as well.
And that's why food started to be more sacred. So food started to be even more sacred. So they wanted us to, I'm telling potatoes to you, but we say like kartopelka, like small potato, because our attitude to the ingredients has changed. It's like something special for us. We love it. We want to carry it. And what Holodomor did is that when now one thing that we start to love the food.
Food as a symbol of hope is something I've seen all across this country. I spent a lot of time in Kherson, and the watermelon was a symbol of Kherson there, because it represents what Kherson is through what grows in the soil in the region. And I've never ever been anywhere like that before. Even a city under siege, a city that was being bombarded every single day, someone still made an effort to hand me this beautiful piece of fruit to represent life in their city.
That's our generosity. What we can do, we just can share love. You don't know what it's going to be tomorrow, but know that today you can do something good for someone.